Mr. Harkin, can I speak to you?
Yeah, sure. What is it?
You know, for months you've been hinting that I was in line for that promotion.
And look how hard you've been working.
What, were you just lying to me?
Lying? No, Nick. Motivating. I mean, look, we're all part of the same team here. Plus, you know, I'm the one who's going to be doing all the extra work.
You know that last month you made me work so late I missed saying goodbye to my gam-gam?
I'm sorry, what?
My grandmother. I told you that I needed to see her because she was very, very sick. You said if I left early, I'd get fired. And she died before I made it to the hospital.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I had no idea that you called your grandmother Gam. Sorry. Sorry you didn't get to say bye-bye to Gam Gam. Really, I really am. But I needed you to stay here and work late because you were an invaluable member of this operation, and I need you in the position that you're currently in.
If there was ever a film I really wanted to work, it was Horrible Bosses. I saw the trailer for it and just thought, yeah, it's one of those trailers which got me, I wouldn't say excited, but close to it, I guess. But the reason why it didn't get me excited is I've seen many trailers, I think I've discussed them in previous reviews, where, yeah, the films haven't sort of been as good as the trailer. And so I had my reservations, I guess is what you could call it, about going into it, but really hoped it would be good. And to be honest, I'm not sure whether I was satisfied or not. It's not as bad as some of the other films that I've seen where the trailers were really good, but yet, still the trailer was better than the film in my mind. There was some, it's got an amazing cast. Come on, it's got one of the best casts for a comedy in a very, very long time, and it was lovely to see Jennifer Aniston not being Jennifer Aniston or not being Rachel Green, whichever way you want to look at it. And it's nice seeing Kevin Spacey back on screen, and good on Colin Farrell for playing a part which, for someone who's half his career is perhaps based on his looks, to play a character with a comb over, I think that's quite, daring of him in some ways. I think it pleased me in quite a way because it wasn't majorly formulaic. It was formulaic in some aspects, but I was expecting the three bosses to have equal time and things, but they weren't. And in some ways, this film was quite sort of, I want to say old-fashioned, traditional, but that's not the right word. It harked back to a more traditional time, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does at all, but I just think it had some. It's the sort of film you could imagine being made 40 years ago, but in a good way. Not saying it's out of date. It isn't. And things. And I think overall it was a pretty good film. As I said, the acting from the main cast was great. I think it's a shame that Jennifer Aniston's character wasn't used more in some ways, because I think what Jennifer Aniston needs right now is a part which isn't Rachel Green or herself. What she needs, I suppose, is another good girl part. And this had elements of that, or had elements not being Rachel Green, but there wasn't enough screen time for that to be like a breakthrough role, for her to break away from the other roles she's played. I think the main downfall of it is that the three main characters weren't distinct enough for you to remember exactly who they were in some ways. I think the film that this is being compared to is The Hangover, and I'm not a great fan of The Hangover particularly. I didn't go and see the second one, I just can't be bothered seeing the second one. And I really hope they don't make a third, but I believe that's in the works. But the thing with The Hangover is that the three main guys in it are very different from each other. And though there were elements of that in these three characters, I can't even remember their names, to be honest. There wasn't enough difference between the three of them to make it a cohesive group, if that makes sense. I think the best thing about the film, and generally is the case when this guy stars in the film, and that's Jamie Foxx. Now he had, it's one of the smallest roles, and that's one of the good things about this film is that they have a lot of big names in small roles. But I'm not going to say the character's name because I want this to be watched by everyone, and if you know the character, you know why. I'm not going to say his name, but they work that character quite well, and I think generally in this whole film is that the three main characters who had most of the screen time weren't fully formed enough, and the characters that were the more interesting ones didn't have enough time on screen. If they had sort of addressed that balance, it would have been a far better film than it was. But saying that, it was still a good film, but not as good as it could have been. I think that's basically all I can say about it. Go and see it, but don't expect anything majorly special.